got, they played very well. They have a big game coming up. Here comes Carolina. And listen, you guys you pro athletes. You know who's good and who's not. You watch the film. I don't expect pro athletes to be, at the highest apex of their emotions for 17, 18 weeks. That's just, I get it in January you are, but you guys watch film and you know who can play. But I do think there's something about Philadelphia that, listen, A.J. Brown feels like sometimes he leads the offense, he and Saquon. Would you be a little worried about Philadelphia's ability to, if they have to play catch up fast, Rams could do it, Bills could do it, a lot of teams can. That passing game, it's just not there. And that means if you have to catch up quick, they'll kill the clock with Saquon. But do you worry about the A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, and sort of the pedestrian nature of the passing game sometimes?
Well, I would just say on every team, you're going to deal with star wide receivers kind of having that, I don't know, I don't call it diva, but hey, I was open. Yeah, I know you were open, but there's a bigger situation here. I would use Jamar Chase as an example. I think he's one of the smartest wide receivers in the game, one of the best receivers in the game. He's putting up crazy numbers, but he gets frustrated sometimes because there's other things going on around him that he's maybe not fully aware of. I think the same thing's kind of happening in Philly. So I think the key right there is for them to just stick together. Would AJ Brown like to be more explosive in the passing game? Sure. I think that'll come for them. I'm still believing in this team. I guess what my point is there's going to be roller coasters of emotions throughout the NFL season where guys get frustrated. Can you stick together? I believe Jalen Hurts is a great leader. I think Nick Sirianni is the perfect coach for this team. And I think if that group of guys in that locker room sticks together, weathers the storm, Dallas Goedert's out for a little while, if they can stick together, I still think the Philadelphia Eagles are alive for that 1 seed in the NFC. People are going to be all talking about Detroit. I get it. They're great. They're going to talk about Minnesota. They're on fire. I get it. They're great. But don't sleep on Philly. I really think that this is just the normal ebbs and flows of human nature. Hopefully they learn their lesson for, what they did, yesterday, showing up in Carolina, thinking that they're automatically going to win because of the emblem on their helmet. That's not how it goes. And, hopefully they're better for it. But I think Philly's got some good football ahead of them.
Yeah. I think Matt highlighting kind of the ebbs and flow of the season is so important here. I think Saquon Barkley is actually the perfect example of this. When someone is so dynamic and exciting as Saquon Barkley has been this season, obviously, he does the hurdles, all that type of stuff. It's like you come to expect that it's not a great game unless he does something like that. Unless he rushes for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 2 or 3 amazing highlights, and anything less than that. And the problem with wide receivers is that unless they get that touchdown, they feel like the day was a failure. I think even for these receivers, they care more about touchdowns than the actual yards themselves. And I understand it to a degree. And I think that the Eagles have enough leadership in the locker room to weather storms like this. But what I don't like is that they're going into a big game against the Steelers. And what you don't want to see is now Jalen Hurts trying to force the ball to A.J. Brown to make him happy. That's what you don't want to see. That's why Devontae is worth his weight in gold. He is the best number 2 receiver, not only because he is great and special and makes unbelievable catches, would be a number 1 receiver for other teams, but because the dude's ego is non-existent. I mean, he causes just 0 issues. I mean, look at the issues that we see all these other receivers constantly causing. Look how the Bengals can't make either of their receivers happy, right? So signing Devontae is such a huge thing, honestly. And also having someone like Saquon Barkley, who's just got an ear-to-ear smile and is just happy to be here, man. He's Charlie Bucket from, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And it goes a long way. It goes a long way to balance out a team that has someone like AJ who really wants the ball. He wants those big time moments. And he's more than capable of having it. But AJ Brown maybe didn't get a million catches, but the catches that he did have were so important. He's become just like a first down machine. It's like when you have that first down, you got to throw it. They got it to him. So I know he wants more. I know there were some missed throws that you want to see Hurts do a better job of getting him the ball. But it's first and foremost is taking care of the ball. And that is what Hurts has been doing. And because of that, they're winning games. That's why. This is the perfect example of taking care of the football and why, turnovers lead to losses. The old coaching cliche, which is not 100% true, but it's, the team that loses the team that wins the turnover battle wins the game. And there's obviously, analytics to back a lot of that up. But again, it's not always perfect because you do need to be able to push the ball down the field, have that threat of deep balls and just aggression in general, putting the defense on their back foot, all that stuff. So it's not, 100%. But we do know taking care of the ball matters, especially with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Because if we also want to look at the analytics, when Jalen Hurts turns the ball over, the Eagles' ability to win plummets. I mean, truly plummets. And so this season, this win streak, I think he's turned the ball over like one time or something. I think. And so it's really mattered. And so I think at the least, what they should maybe do is get AJ Brown involved in some of these more short yardage gains, some of these more really quick, like no read throws. I'd like to see them scheme AJ out, a little bit more, to really kind of set him up just to get his hands on the ball, satisfy him. I'd also love to have a real conversation about it with AJ and be like, what is it that you want? If you touched the ball 10 times and had 10 catches but only 30 yards, would you be happy with that? Or would you be happier with only touching the ball twice but having 85 yards and a touchdown? And the answer is different for all people. Honestly, it's not the same. Anyone can assume what the answer is. Every wide receiver is different in that regard. They are. Seriously. Some wide receivers, they want all the targets, man. Throw me the ball every 5 seconds. Sometimes it's like as long as they got a touchdown, they're happy. They get to say, I got a touchdown. Add it to my career total. Like it really is different. It really, truly depends. And so I'd love to know. I don't have my finger on the pulse in terms of what AJ wants. But I know you shouldn't go out of your way and start changing the offense and changing things too much because the offense is working. This game was closer than it should have been, but it's also closer than it could have been. I mean, you had some missed field goals, obviously. You had some fluky, lucky plays from the Panthers, like the one tipped catch or whatever. You had, what's-his-face, Bryce Young, like really pull out some really beautiful plays, quite frankly. Kind of where you're like, oh, yeah, I could see why he was drafted number 1 overall. They've been playing teams close. These last few games for the Panthers have all been close games. Everyone's talking about the Chiefs three-peating. Well, needed a last-minute field goal to beat for the Chiefs to beat the Panthers. So I don't think we need to downplay the Panthers too much. I don't think the Panthers are this top team either. And you do want to see the Eagles be able to take care of business and not have them give the ball back for the Panthers. But I think this game ends up being more of a learning experience and more data for Fangio and Kellen Moore to work with. For Kellen Moore to peer over this and say, okay, this is what's really working. How do we get AJ involved without changing the offense? Without changing and taking away what's been working so well? How do I get it so Jalen Hurts can continue to take care of the ball, but still get some more going? And again, you had AJ pretty much trying to petition to throw the ball more. And it's like, they should throw the ball only as much as they need to win the game. Seriously, that's what it comes down to. So there's no reason. I mean, you talk like he brought up the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions have literally blown teams out of the water. Where Jared Goff is throwing the ball for like 14 times, 12 times, 18 times. We've seen those games with Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. Having you throw the ball 30 plus times a game is not the way to victory. It's just not. So I'm excited to see what the Eagles do. I'm excited to see what the game plan is against the Steelers. They got some big games. The Cowboys are going to be ended up being a tough game, even depending on kind of what their situation is. I don't see them actually legitimately in the hunt, but the Cowboys are still going to want to spoil things for the Eagles. The Commanders are still competing and fighting. I think they're going to be significantly better out of the bye, honestly. I think Jaden Daniels is also going to be a little bit healthier. You're going to get a better version of him. So there's tough games ahead for the Eagles, which I think will actually be a good thing. I think it's going to put some good film for them to work with going into the playoffs, because they've obviously already clinched the playoffs. And for the most part, they're already clinching the 2 seed for the most part. And now they're obviously competing for the number 1 seed. So it's there for them. Home field advantage is there for them. Right now, this is kind of like just figure out what makes you optimal. And I think they will. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles and their lackluster passing game? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.